Hey, I'm Johnny May and welcome to my latest course. This is a course on film music improvisation. Now, I love going to the movie theaters. I love the experience of seeing the visuals and the music and how it all comes together in this awesome experience. There's nothing like it. Now, in this lesson, you're going to learn a chord progression that you'll hear in a lot of different films. And the composers will write various themes to this progression, but you'll hear it's the same progression, so you're going to recognize it right away. Now, in this lesson, I show you a couple ways of playing it, but here I'm going to show you the style, my favorite style of playing it. This is a warm, lush style. Isn't that nice? I love that. We're going to talk about how to improvise over this chord progression and how to create beautiful lines. Now, a lot of students don't feel like they can improvise. They're scared of it and they feel like it's only for the really talented pianists. Well, I'll tell you what, that couldn't be further from the truth. I think anyone can improvise as long as they have the right tools and the right techniques to do so. And that's what we're going to do in this lesson is I'm going to take you down to the fundamentals, the most basic ideas of improvising, and then we're just going to start building from there until you're really comfortable with it. So we're going to start with the most basic idea of improvising, and that is walking lines going in stepwise motion up and down. So you only need to know 2 scales in order to do this for this entire chord progression, and you're going to hear lots of lines, and here's an example of what we'll be talking about in the lesson. We're also going to be talking about arpeggiating chords and how to weave different chords together to form beautiful lines. And then we're going to combine both of these techniques, which sounds really cool as well. We're going to take that, expand it to 8th notes, and then slowly build from there. We're going to be talking about ostinato patterns, and an ostinato is when you take a repeated series of notes and you keep playing those notes over different chords. And so there's a couple ostinato patterns that work really well over this chord progression. So here's one of the ones that you'll be learning in the lesson. We're also going to talk about money notes. And the idea of a money note is a note that you want to target in your playing and it sounds really good. It's kind of a magical note. And so there are these notes that you can add to the chords that are particularly colorful. And we're going to talk about those, taking a basic chord like a major chord, like an F chord, and adding some colorful notes. In the last part of the lesson, you're going to learn my favorite thing to do. This is called the bag of tricks. And every pianist has a bag of tricks that they can pull these awesome lines out from, and they sound great in your improvisation. And these are my top 10 bag of tricks that I'm going to teach you in the lesson. I'm going to show you 4 right now that I think are particularly cool. The first one is a kind of driving pattern. The next one is kind of an inspiring pattern. Then you're going to learn some really flashy sounding lines. So here's one of my favorites. And last but not least, you're going to learn one that I call the battle cry, and this is at the climax of the film. By the time you're done with this lesson, you're not only going to feel comfortable improvising, but you're going to love it and you're going to really enjoy it. So this is a preview to my full-length course on pianowithjonny.com, and I'm going to teach you just a portion of that in this lesson. So let's hop in. All right, so I love playing film music. It's really powerful. It's wonderful to play, and the chords are rich and beautiful and big. And this progression is particularly cool because you hear it all the time in film music. Pretty much every composer will use this chord progression, and then they'll add their own melody to it. But you'll start to recognize it after this lesson. Hey, I hear you, Hans Zimmer. You're using this 4-chord progression. So it's actually very simple. The chords are F major, A flat major, E flat major, and B flat major. Okay, so here are the basic chords in their positions. All right, so we're starting with just a regular old F major chord. Okay, and you can voice this in all kinds of ways. Voicing means the arrangement of the notes, but this is just a nice basic voicing of the chord. So we've got F on the bottom, C, A, C, and F. Here's our A flat chord. We've got A flat, E flat, A flat, C, and A flat. Our E flat chord is E flat, B flat, G, B flat, and E flat. And then that nice rich B flat major, we got the low B flat, F. This is F here, B flat, and this is the D. By the way, this is middle C right here, and so we're kind of right in the middle of the keyboard on our right hand. So you might recognize this chord progression already. Well, we're going to have some fun with it today. We're going to do all kinds of cool stuff. I'm going to teach you how to improvise. You're going to learn all the tricks of improvisation, how to develop wonderful lines, and it all starts right here from these 4 basic chords. All right, so you've got the 4 chords. We've got this basic film kind of groove. Now I'm going to show you a pattern that is my particular favorite pattern, and it's a warm, lush style, and this is what this one sounds like. So what we're doing here is we're taking these same chords, right, same 4 chords, and we're actually incorporating some really pretty notes. We call these, you can call these lush notes, but what we're actually doing is incorporating the 2 of the chord. So if you take an F major chord, which looks like this, and you add the 2 to it, that's the G, you get this kind of pretty sound, right? So I'm kind of adding the 2 to the chord. Same thing with A flat. If you play your A flat triad, you add the B flat, which is the 2. You get this pretty sound, right? Same thing for E flat. Right, you see that? So we're adding the F to the E flat major. That's an E flat major. There's your 2. And then the B flat is the same thing. Right? Now I'm spreading these notes out a lot, but basically there's only 3 notes that I'm playing. I'm just doubling them in different parts of the keyboard, but that's your basic chord: B flat, C, D, and F, right? So we're taking these 2s of each of the chords, and we're just adding it and creating a pattern with it, okay? So this particular pattern, let's just start with the left hand since it's a bit easier. We're basically arpeggiating octaves for the most part. The last chord we're arpeggiating at a 10th, but we're just doing this basic octave pattern using root, 5th, root, 5th, root, 5th, root, 5th, right? A flat's the same thing. You see that? Then E flat, same pattern. And then B flat is the one that's a little bit different. We're going to do a 10th here. Right? And I already showed this one to you, so really got to stretch out here. Root, 5th, and there's your 3rd or 10th. It's the same thing. And the reason we're doing this is because the right hand is really close to the left hand, okay? And whenever the right hand is close to the left hand, oftentimes you have to alter the left hand pattern, right? Otherwise your hands will clash together. And typically what the right hand is playing is more important than what the left hand is playing. So that's why the sacrifice comes from the left hand, right? You're just playing the chord or a pattern, but the melody is typically being played in the right hand. So that's why it's very important that you have a few options for your left hand, and we're actually going to go over those next, the various options. But The point is that you can arpeggiate chords in all kinds of ways, and you always want to get out of the way of the melody. In this case, we got to just do an octave here. Okay, so that's going to be our basic left hand pattern. The right hand is doing this cool thing. Check it out. You see that? That's going to be our measure 1. And that's going to be A, G, A, F, G, A, F. Now, I don't think of notes in terms of the note names. I look at the degrees of the scale related to that chord, okay? And what I mean is if you take an F scale, it's an F major scale, I'm starting on the 3rd note of the scale, okay? And G is the 2nd note of the scale. Well, you call these degrees. This is a jazz kind of pop terminology. But I think of this pattern as going 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. You see that? 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And if you think of music in this way, it actually allows you to play in any key, right? Because numbers are relative. So if you're playing the 3rd of a different key, if you know the numeric pattern, then you can apply it to that scale, so long as you know that scale. So this is how jazz musicians, pop musicians can play in all kinds of different keys, is they don't think about playing that note. They're thinking about the relationship in that key. So we've got this pattern, okay? The A flat, we're going to do slightly different pattern. And that's B flat, A flat, B flat, E flat, A flat, B flat, E flat. Or 2, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5. Now notice we're calling A flat the 1 right now. We're not calling it the minor 3rd of F, and that's because the chord is an A flat. So we're describing the notes in terms of the chord, which is A flat. So A flat becomes the root, or the 1, right? And if you know your A flat scale, you know your other degrees, right? So that's going to be our 2nd chord. 3rd chord is our E flat chord. Okay, E flat, I'll go ahead and play the root down here so you can hear how it harmonizes. And this is going to be the 5th of E flat, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2. And going the other way, B flat, G, B flat, F, G, B flat, F. You see that? And I'm just doing a little root 5th in the bottom here just to create a nice little foundation for the chord. See that? And then B flat. This one's a little bit different actually. I don't have the 2 in this chord, okay? So I'm actually just playing the root, the 5th, root, 5th, 5th, root, 5th, right? Or B flat, F, B flat, F, F, B flat, F. You can throw the 2 in. The 2 of B flat is what? C, right? There's the 2. So you could do this. Kind of has a nice sound to it. Yeah, it's actually really pretty. All right, so options, right? There's 2 options there. You can play the root or the 2nd. Which one do you like better? I don't know. That's for you to decide, right? You're the one improvising this. All right, so this is kind of the basic pattern here. Let's go ahead and put the hands together. And you'll hear how just beautiful and lush this sounds. So we'll start measure 1. We'll go slowly, okay? So here's measure 1. You see that? So we're actually holding that F on the top, just a beat, and then coming back in with the G. Here it is one more time. All right, great. Let's do the A flat. Here it is. Very careful, our thumbs are sharing a note, right? You may have noticed that. Hey, that's uncomfortable. You got to get out of the way, okay? So when the right hand's playing, left thumb's out of the way, left thumb's playing, right thumb's out of the way, okay? E flat chord, here it is. Okay, that should be pretty explanatory. We're doing the same pattern here, okay? And then B flat. Makes sense? And that is the whole pattern. Pretty cool, huh? So the chords are really rich, they harmonize well. It's a nice closed position too. You see this? Right? We get this cluster here. We got a cluster here. There's no clusters here, but the cluster sound is particularly beautiful. That's when we butt two notes up against each other. Typically, we'll butt the third up with the second, or we'll butt up the first with the second, or we can actually do all three, right? What you're hearing, that beautiful lush tone, is coming from this combination right here. We're breaking up the chord, but you're hearing the wash effect because I'm holding the pedal down. So really beautiful. This is actually probably my go-to sound. Whenever I start off an improvisation, I'll probably use this, but you can also use the film groove that I just showed you earlier. So those are two great options anytime you're starting an improvisation. Hey, it was a lot of fun for me to teach you how to improvise over film music. I had a blast. I hope it was as much fun for you as it was for me. And you can find the full-length course once again on pianowithjonny.com. There's a lot in it. I go really in depth into improvisation, and you'll be an expert improviser by the end of that. So check that out, and until then, I will see you in our next lesson.